Alien Romulus releases this weekend. I'm so excited for it. It looks like it's going to be back to the basics, a rediscovery of the Ridley Scott classic. So now, leading up to its premiere, I wanted to check out the films in this franchise that I had never seen before. I dropped a video a few weeks back for Aliens, so you can find that one on the channel if you're interested. The only other one I hadn't seen is the one we're going to talk about today. And oh boy, is it bad. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and tell a friend if you haven't. And if you're new here, check out the rest of the channel and let me know what you think. Let's dive into Alien 3. I had heard nothing but negative things about Alien 3, even from the man who helmed this project, David Fincher. But I know over the years it has become a little less hated, so I held out hope that I'd at least enjoy what we got. And to my disappointment, I hated this a lot. There really isn't a lot to enjoy in this film. It really is a shame because you had David Fincher. Now, I get that at the time he wasn't the David Fincher that we all know and love today, but I've seen some behind the scenes reels and videos of during production, and you can tell even from those that this guy had immense talent and he knew what he was talking about. And Warner Bros. Took that talent and they squandered it. To which I say, good, fuck 'em. David Fincher has become a household name, arguably a top 5 director of the modern era, at least in my book. And Warner Bros. Is, well, they're stuck in the clusterfuck of a situation that they are currently. So they obviously never learned from their mistakes. If you just set reasonable boundaries and don't meddle in the creative process, the final product generally turns out well. And to this day, they continue to fuck up projects because they want full control. Look, I'm not really a fan of Zack Snyder. I honestly think he is pretty mediocre as a director. I think he has talent, especially with his unique visual style, but he's made like 2, maybe 3 good movies. But Warner Bros. Was notorious for meddling in his creative process, and as a result, we got the Snyder Cut, which honestly was not a bad film. Definitely an improvement over the Whedon Cut, that's for sure. Anyway, all of this is to say, Warner Bros. Just fucking knock it off. Actually, you know what? HBO makes a lot of really good content. Just let whoever runs the TV division be in charge, or just sell the whole studio to someone who will take better care of it. Okay. Back to Alien 3. Look, there isn't a lot of praise, but I will say this. You can see David Fincher's visual fingerprints all over this movie. From the cinematography, to the creative transitions, to the way he just stages sequences. This movie looks very, very good. This movie definitely is a teaser for what this man would develop into. Along with the visuals, I have to commend Sigourney Weaver for not just phoning it in. She respects this franchise and its fans enough to give it her all despite the bland narrative and awful production of this movie. Any lesser of an actor would have taken the paycheck and just read the lines. She really does commit, and I really appreciated that. Alright, well, that's about it for the good. Well, hang on. There are 2 more points that are good. Charles Dance and Pete Postlethwaite are both in this movie. Dance in a smaller role and Pete in the background, basically. But both of these actors are ridiculously talented and deserved better than this. The lines and the screen time that they get, they both take advantage of. The movie could have used more of them, for sure. Yeah, and that's basically it for the good. Listen, this story isn't bad. I think Ripley being stuck on a prison planet with an only male population is compelling and actually leads to a few interesting scenes, but the narrative doesn't really do much with that idea. It's also completely perplexing that they killed Newt and Hicks off screen immediately. And I know this is a popular complaint. I mean, I've heard it since the dawn of time. Even if they do die, just bring them back for a bit. Have some emotional attachment between them and the audience and Ripley. And this isn't the only time this happens either. Alien Covenant killed Shaw off screen too. Why do they do this? People like these characters. At least have some respect for the audience and let these characters make like heroic sacrifices or something. I also like the aspect of Ripley having a queen inside her. Interesting as well. But this film takes so long to get going that this only really comes into play in the last 20 minutes. I will say, I like how Fincher tried to go back to the close quarters horror style like the first Alien, and some of that really works. But the rest of the movie is just, it's bad. It's just bad execution. You can tell that the studio had their hands all over this, just constantly making changes. And the parts of this film that I found the most confusing are the ones where everyone is just separated by choice, yet no one aside from a couple guys really get picked off, which is just strange. There is a massive, dangerous predator stalking the crew of this facility. Someone dies, and then everyone has a conversation and then just goes their separate ways. And you're like, why aren't you all holing up in one room trying to come up with a plan? But everyone is just like off doing their own thing and acting like nothing really happened. It's so weird. And if I had to guess, it's probably a product of rushed editing. I don't know. That piece really stuck out to me. It just seems so ridiculous. The end of the movie is climactic. I mean, spoiler alert, I mean, this movie's been out for what, like 25 years? Ripley dies. She takes the queen baby with her and she dies. And it's very climactic. And the ending is cool, but because the rest of the movie is so bland and boring and dreary, you don't really have any sort of cathartic experience. So it's just like, it's cool and then it ends and you're like, yep, all right, that was a movie for sure. The biggest downfall of this movie, honestly, is the pacing. It is nauseating. It takes so long to get going, and then there are so many breaks where people just stand around and talk, which is fine, but the conversations are never really that compelling. The only ones that are really interesting are the ones between Ripley and Charles Dance's character, and he gets killed off kind of early on. And then after that, it's just meaningless conversations spattered between some horror death scenes, and it's not exciting. It's just kind of boring. So that's Alien 3, I guess. I don't know. This movie sucks. Poor David Fincher. Honestly, if Warner Bros. Sells, whoever buys them, you should redo this movie. Bring back Fincher, bring back Weaver, and remake Alien 3, and let him have full control. It would be so much better. I guarantee if you let Fincher redo this movie, have total control over it, it would be phenomenal. We need a Fincher cut.